You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, and welcome to the Solfege Podcast. This is episode
69, dudes!
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Shawn as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey everybody, it's Shawn here, and with me today I have two special guests for episode 69. I've got Karen, who you know from the Unmasked Confidence episode.
Hello.
And I've got Jason from the last episode, the Bridget episode, episode 68.
How's it going?
Excellent. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Great.
Good. Glad to hear it. Okay, so I figured I would have some guests on for episode 69 because it's going to be the sex episode.
Of course.
Because what else could it be, right?
Well, episode 69, it's got to be.
That's right. Do you guys remember the summer of 69?
No.
No.
I do. It was 1997 and it was glorious. But I digress. All right. So I don't know how we're going to talk about this episode particularly. I didn't think we would bring up any specific sex incidents unless we want to, unless that's where the conversation goes. Depends on how nervous we all are talking about this kind of thing. How are you guys feeling right now?
Pretty good.
Good, but a little nervous. I'm putting into the back of my head to be respectful of any partners that may come to my mind as we're speaking, because not all of them might be as open as I am about things. So
that's a definite concern. It's true. The last episode was the Bridget episode and talked about that relationship and got a nice comment from Richard from Australia. You saw the comment, didn't you?
Hi, Richard from Australia. Thank you very much, buddy.
Yep, it was a great comment and just what we needed to hear, pretty much, and especially what I needed to hear.
There needs to be more Richards from Australia in this world.
I know there does. And I'm trying to get him to be on the podcast one day. I threatened that I was going to fly down to Australia, track him down, and have a conversation with him.
I'll tell you what, you do that, I'll go with you.
Okay, I've never been there, so...
I'm down for the Great Down Under.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hey, have you ever had an Australian kiss?
No.
It's the same thing as a French kiss, but it's down under.
That's a good one. That's good. I'm going to use that.
That's one of the oldest dirty jokes I remember. Okay, so to move right into the sex topic, do you guys like sex?
yeah,
Yeah?
Okay.
If we
probably
didn't, I don't
wouldn't
think we'd be
agree
here.
to be here
No.
if we didn't.
We'd be like some of the other ones that probably told you no.
That's true. Actually, funny thing, when I was trying to get people for this thing, I wanted to get 4 or 5 different people. But of course, some people don't like to be on a podcast. They don't like to be recorded. Mm-hmm. It's nerve-wracking, right? Almost got Bishop's mom, Trish, on the podcast.
Really?
It was this close. She had a long day at work and she was really tired, so she couldn't do it. But having my ex talk about sex with me in the room here with you guys,
That definitely could have been an interesting conversation.
that would have been an interesting conversation. Maybe that'll be episode 169.
I'm down for that one.
Okay. And of course, we could talk about sex on episode 181.
Yep.
Anyway, so listeners to the podcast know that I was 20 years old when I lost my virginity. How old were you, Jay?
16.
Wow. And Karen?
16.
16.
Yeah.
There's a common denominator here.
Right. I was a late bloomer.
I was a mom at 17, so
My mom was a
maybe
mom
I
at 17.
could have made some different choices, but I love my son, so
Well, there you go.
worked out.
Mm-hmm. You did.
And at 16, I was every teenage boy that every father didn't want to meet.
Tell me more.
I had one thing on my mind at 16 years old.
Is it the topic of this podcast episode?
Oh, you're darn right it is.
Yeah? Were you a horny little bugger?
You could say that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have any specific fun stories that you could talk about in general, or?
Well, my first time to be one of them.
Okay.
First time was with a young lady. Won't give last names, but her name was Leanne.
Okay.
Very pretty. And she was an adventurous one herself.
Oh, yes?
Our first time was in a public park.
Really?
Yes.
Another common denominator.
You too, huh? Wow.
I'm trying to drink coffee and being unsuccessful. Wow.
Also in a public park.
Percy Lake,
Okay.
the park.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know where Percy Lake is, but
It's not.
I'm
Percy
vaguely
Lake.
interested. Hershey Lake.
It's not as public as like a park in the city. It's still public.
It's not like Hollinger Park.
No,
Oh,
exactly.
okay. So it's kind of off, tucked away in the corner, but it is
tucked away, but
okay.
it's still a public park.
It is. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people there.
Sometimes
Depending. Maybe there wasn't when you were there.
there were people, but not lots of people.
Okay. So you could do it kind of hidden or
Yeah.
somewhat
Well, that's part of the excitement, right?
getting caught.
Hoping to, but not to. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah,
I wholeheartly agree.
yeah.
The rush of being and to put it out there with my fat white ass up in the air.
Nice.
Just saying.
So both of your first times was in a public park.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, I've never done it in a public park.
You got to catch up, man.
I do need to catch up. Apparently,
Yep.
I'm a little bit old for that now, but I still.
Well, you
Too
know,
old
you
for
can
that.
find printable checklists on the internet so that you can.
Check off all the different adventure spots.
She's a bad influence, ladies and gentlemen. I like it.
I knew you guys would get along.
This is how I ended up invited to this podcast.
Should invite her more often.
Well, she's definitely welcome back anytime. We've got a whole series of them to come. We just haven't had a chance to get together because we live busy lives, and
Yeah.
it's hard to connect our schedules.
Well, that's what happens when you grow up, unfortunately. You know, you're 16 and you have time to have sex in public parks, and then then you're 40 and it's like,
Where'd all the public parks go?
exactly.
It's a matter of taking your significant other and having time in your working days to be like, oh, I don't have energy for that. Well, not tonight. I have a headache. Try to work that into a public park.
That would be interesting. Yes. Okay. All right. So 16 in a public park. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't think I have anything that tops that.
Oh, come on. Deep down inside, there's got to be something.
I can't think of anything.
I already told you, I know Stephanie's episode.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Other than having my first time be with a lesbian, yeah,
See?
that's pretty good.
That's almost topic.
It wasn't in a public park.
I want to shake your hand.
All right, you can shake my hand. We're shaking hands right now, listeners.
Because, yeah, he topped me off on that one. I've never had sex with a lesbian.
I've had sex with a gay man, so.
How was that?
Well, it was all right, but it was kind of awkward, and at the time I didn't know why it was awkward until he left me for a guy and came out, and then it was like, oh, okay.
Explains a lot.
So
Yeah,
you
exactly.
didn't know.
No, I didn't know.
Okay. Well, see, that's
And-
that's kind of understandable.
And
Yeah.
You were with him for a while?
For a year, yeah. And then he was like, you know,
I tried this and
I tried this,
it
it didn't work, and there's this guy, and, you know, at that point,
That's
there's
gotta
really
pull at the
nothing you can
heartstrings.
do. It's like, all right, well, that explains some things.
I guess it would, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he didn't really feel like he was into it, I guess.
Exactly, it was just awkward, you know, and...
I'd say awkward is an understatement in that situation. I'm trying to think of how you must have been feeling. That's
Well, I didn't know what was awkward. It was like, there's something awkward about this.
yeah.
But when you don't know exactly what it is, it's like, okay, this is...
Well, no, I mean about
yeah.
the situation where he told you.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
That he was gay.
Yeah.
And he came out like.
Well, that's just one of those things where there's really nothing you can say other than, okay, well, I
All
hope
right
you
then.
guay are happy.
Good luck.
Good luck. See ya. See you around, because, you know...
You can't really be mad.
No.
I guess you could that he wasted a year of your life.
Right, but I don't think he fully knew himself at that point. We were still pretty young, and you know, I think he was figuring things out. And
Well.
and back then it wasn't as
Open.
Yeah,
Wasn't as an
it wasn't as
open spoken topic.
exactly.
Okay.
So, I think he was hoping that he wasn't.
Okay, I can understand
You
that.
know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I
like,
totally get that.
oh, maybe, but No, he's definitely gay.
Well,
Oh, I'm not saying I can relate to that feeling, but I can definitely say I've witnessed the awkward conversations. My cousin himself actually came out of the closet, and he introduced his boyfriend to the entire family. But at first he was just a friend.
Right.
And then we got together for dinner the next night, and he came out and he said, look, I lied to you last night. This is not just a friend, he's my boyfriend. And we were all good with that, but it was still back in the day, in the time where it was taboo. It was a taboo subject, and everybody
And you
had the
didn't
same...
always know how different people were going to react, because you might think
Exactly.
that somebody was going to be cool, and then they'd freak out on you, or,
I'll tell you, I didn't know how to react. I wasn't expecting it.
no.
But I floored my cousin when I walked up and gave his husband a hug.
Acceptance.
But that was actually after a couple of beers.
Well, why? Did you think he was going to do something?
No.
Okay,
no,
well, that's good at
It was
least.
just it was just after a couple of beers.
Oh, okay.
Just that's the way the situation had.
Gotcha.
That's how it
Not
happened.
not that you needed a couple beers to hug.
No,
Okay, gotcha.
no. I am full out comfortable with my sexuality. Shawn, if you ever need a hug, bud, I'm on this side of the bench.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm currently okay, but
Fantastic.
thanks for the offer. Hey, and speaking of offers, we've got other podcasts here on the ESO network. Let's play a promo for one of those podcasts right now.
Okay, auditions for the new Earth Station Who co-host. Take one. Go ahead.
Hello, Stonehenge, who takes the Pandora Cup, takes the universe. But, bad news everyone, cause guess who? Ha, listen, you lot you're all whizzing about. It's really very distracting. Could you all just stay still a minute because I am talking?
Not too shabby. Can you close this up?
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating over 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. You never know where the TARDIS is going to go next. Earth Station Who podcast can be found at www.earthstationwho.com. Earth Station Who is a proud member of the ESO network. We are up on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or wherever fine podcasts are found. Peace, and we are done. Did I pass the audition?
We'll get back to you. Next.
And that was great. I hope you listened to that podcast because it's awesome.
Definitely will check that out.
Yes. All right. So back to sex talk here on Solforge.
Yes.
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 All right. So we've decided we like sex.
That's a given.
Okay.
the public parks are good.
Public parks are good. I definitely have to try that. I've done it in cars and stuff, on side of the roads, on the highway and whatnot.
On the side of the road, in the car, or out of the car?
Oh, in the car.
Okay, because there is something to be said for the wind on your skin, really.
Really?
I'm vaguely interested now.
Yeah, that's intriguing.
The wind on your skin is actually a good thing. I can
is,
say, but
yeah.
I can't say I've done it on the side of the highway.
Okay.
But the wind on your skin is fantastic.
Well, he said he was in the car, so that's different than on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to be seen, roofs are good because many people don't look up.
Oh.
So especially if there's several stories, people
Yeah.
don't look up.
You seem like a very resourceful human.
So if you're like on a high fire escape, you can see all the people and all the city. They don't look up.
Huh. That's pretty good to know. Okay.
And you get the wind on your skin because it's windy when you go up high.
Right, that's true.
I've got so many questions going on in my head right now, and I'm not sure that we have enough time to answer all of them.
We just might. Why don't you ask one of them?
How do you know all that?
Well, I was on a radio show that is hosted by Dr. Susan Block. It's a sex radio show out of Los Angeles, and it is recorded in her private club, which is
club.
yes, private club,
Okay.
Sex club?
which is on the top. Yeah, which is on the top floor of this big old warehouse in Los Angeles. And when you're in the middle of Los Angeles, nobody looks up at the fire escape.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fire escape. Now that's an interesting spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to have to go around here and look for a fire escape.
There are probably some.
I don't know if I'd want to do it on a fire escape in Timmins, but...
Well, maybe not in Timmins. Yeah.
It would depend on where and which one and,
How clean it is.
yeah, well, you could always bring like a blanket.
Yep, you could.
Even still.
Okay,
long
so
have you
you're
lived
more
in Timmins?
concerned about the public park, or you're less concerned about the public park than you are about the fire escape?
To a certain extent.
Wow. Okay.
So far, this is a very interesting conversation.
I knew it would be. Okay, so I've never done it in the park. I have done it in the backyard.
I think everybody's done it in their backyard.
Yeah,
Or
On the
a
deck.
backyard.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of different places.
I did it at a conservation area on a public picnic bench.
Oh, that's not bad. I've always wanted to try it in an elevator like you see in all the movies. That's something I've never done. What about you guys?
No.
In an elevator.
You know, where you hit the button?
Never done it, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but elevator doors open pretty quickly.
They do.
You don't have a lot of time.
And we don't have any high rises here.
Yeah.
Like we have
And it's
maybe
not
4 or
like the
5
movies
floors.
when you hit the stop button, the alarm doesn't go off and you have time.
Yeah,
You hit
exactly.
the stop button
Right.
in any apartment building around here and the alarm's going off and it's usually drawing attention to you.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Are you stuck in there?"
1 minute! I could not imagine that conversation going very well.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you'd get in trouble for,
Yes.
setting off an emergency alarm and wasting the time of the rescue crew.
Yeah. Yeah. But then you can do it on the
Not
fire
just
truck.
Shot with your pants down.
Exactly. See, this is probably why none of us have had that experience yet.
Yeah.
So
I
what-
like how you put that.
I like the yet part.
What you need is to know the superintendent of a high-rise building who you can trust to arrange for some elevator time.
Elevator time.
Yeah.
Borrow the service key.
See?
There you go.
Exactly. If you know the caregiver of the building, the owner of the building.
Or even if you don't, just say you're moving some stuff out. Can I borrow the service key?
That's a good idea.
Hey. Hey.
We don't have a lot of high-rise buildings here in town, but
No.
that just means we have to go for a road trip to Toronto or something.
Okay, you arrange that one with my wife, and I'm so down for
A
that.
sex road trip.
A sex road trip.
Because we're going to go around the country having sex in different elevators.
A whole new podcast on that one.
Right? We could do a live recording. Or not.
No.
Probably not a good idea.
I'm an open guy to talk about my
I
sexual
can just
experiences,
see
but you're
your
not
wife's response when you go home and say, "So, I have agreed to be recorded live on a sex road trip. We're going around to elevators."
See, my wife doesn't even want me to talk about this right now because every time I try to get anything out of her, she's like, she tells me to get that thing away from her.
Well, she's how many
Because
months pregnant?
she's due in December.
So,
January.
Oh, well,
She's got 3 months left, so
Yeah.
right now she's in pain and craving everything.
yeah. So,
Except for that.
so now is absolutely not the time to talk about a sex elevator tour.
No. No. Give it about 4 months after the C-section and you might get somewhere.
sex elevator trip to 2019. Here we go.
This is not where I expected this conversation to go.
I actually had no idea where it was going to go
I like it.
because that's how the Soul Forge works, as you guys know.
Just wing it.
You just wing it and talk about whatever comes up, and because it's the Soul Forge, it's life, the universe, and everything. Any topic is wide open. So there you go.
There we go.
And did you know you can listen to Soul Forge on Spotify?
No.
Well, you can.
Hey, podcast fans, Spotify is making it easy for you to stream this podcast and many others like it on your mobile device, desktop app, and smart speaker. Open the app on your mobile device or desktop, click on the browser channel, then click on the podcast section. You'll be able to stay thoroughly entertained during your commute to work, your drive home, and your downtime, thanks to Spotify.
That's nothing to do with sex, but I
Oh,
just
I
thought I'd
knew it
bring
was
it up.
on iTunes, but I didn't know it was on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn.
I'm pretty sure
Apple
it's iTunes,
Podcast.
the one that I use. Apple Podcast.
I don't know if it's iTunes or Apple Podcast. They keep changing names of everything, but
I don't know. On my phone, it just has a little square that says podcasts.
and of course,
Yeah.
if you look up my name, Shawn Vanderloo. What's that name again?
Sean Vanderloo.
You can find all our podcasts on YouTube. Just look up that name. What's the name again?
Shawn Vanderloo.
You got it.
Shawn Vanderloo.
So there you go. Now back to the sex talk after that little mini station identification break. What's next? Is there any place that you've wanted to have sex but have not yet? Besides elevators.
Thinking like a man. Attaboy. Other than elevators, where you would want to do it?
Yeah.
That's I don't know, because often it's been kind of spontaneous. It's not something that I've decided, hey,
Let's
I
do
think
it
I
here.
need to go find an elevator.
Right.
Like this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Movie theater.
I have used my fingers on a lady in the movie theater, but never actually had sex.
All right.
So that's something.
So you've got like a half check mark on the
Yeah.
check on the list.
That's right.
He's got the beginnings of a check mark on that list.
Yeah, because of course sex can include
We
everything.
should write this list down.
We should.
Yeah, and make it like a bucket list for sex in our lives.
Ooh, there you
There's
go.
probably one
Sex
if we
bucket list.
search on Google.
Oh, live research right
I
on
love
the
the
podcast.
way she thinks.
This is great.
Live research on a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Movie theater.
And sex can include, like, not just the physical act,
Anything.
any sexual thing. Like,
Well, if that's the case, I mean, if they want to go into the full Monty, so to speak,
Yeah.
of the topic, then yes, I have received a oral sex in a movie theater.
okay, very nice.
Yes.
Of course, hand job and blow job in a car.
That works.
Yes, that's always good.
I'll be the first one to gentleman probably that I know to admit that I've never climaxed while driving a vehicle.
Oh, come on.
It kind of fit. I'm a driver for a living. I drive
Right.
tractor trailer, and the fact it's scary.
We need to do more research. The first thing that comes up says ultimate sex bucket list, and I click on it. There's only 50 items on the list. That cannot be the ultimate bucket list.
Well, what are some of them?
Okay, let's see.
Oh yes, I'm interested now.
Have a threesome, engage in an orgy, phone sex, get tied up, tie up your sexual partner.
This
Have
kind
sex
of
in the
seems
car.
like mediocre
It's just
kind
like-
of bucket list.
That whole tie-up
Yeah.
thing, it never really excited me at all. I don't
Tie
care
it
about
up?
the tie-up thing.
Oh,
No, it doesn't. Maybe I just haven't been tied up right. I don't know.
well,
Could you go? You have been tied up though.
Or I've tied up. I have vague
Because-
recollections of that.
there are so
or have
many
you been able to get it?
scenarios, and there's so many things that you can use to tie a person up, and there's, different people, because different people react to those situations differently. So, I don't know. There's sometimes when I've found those things interesting on either side of it, and sometimes when it's just like, no, this isn't working. And it has to do with the people and the materials and,
Well, yeah. Every situation is different.
yeah.
Like the whole, what was one of them? Orgies?
Yeah.
Threesome.
And threesomes and stuff?
Yeah.
Actually, I was just going to say about the whole threesome subject. We don't have to ask Karen if she's ever been involved. She just said she was at a sex club, so I'm going to assume that answer is yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Shawn? More than one?
I was involved with 3 other ladies at one time.
High five, bro.
Oh, thank you. This was back in university. It was various combinations of stuff, mostly just fooling around.
Okay.
But everybody was naked in my room, and it was fun. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. When it's fun, you have a good combination of people and personalities, because threesomes and orgies can be a lot of fun. They can also get super awkward if you have somebody who's either dramatic or who's a taker but not a giver
Right. Yes.
and wants like all the attention all the time. Then it's like,
Yeah, that's never good.
no.
And if you're actually going to have a threesome or a moresome, make sure everybody involved is full out comfortable in doing it.
yeah, exactly.
Because if you somehow talk your significant other into it and all of a sudden he or she has a change of heart, it gets real awkward real quick.
No, you have to.
I have never experienced that, but I do know people who have. But I have experienced threesome.
You have.
Yes.
Very good.
You're right. Everybody has to be
Unintentional, but-
comfortable with themselves and the other people present, and the
Exactly.
whole idea of what is going on. Have to be able to communicate about everything, basically.
Oh, it's all about communication. For
Yeah.
sure it is.
Absolutely.
I find the whole threesome topic comes up a lot with a partner, but it never actually happens quite as much as it's talked about, at least in my experience.
You seem to be able to talk about things a little bit more openly than when you take action amongst that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Myself, I have suggested the threesome option to multiple different girlfriends.
Yeah.
They've said yes, and then when it's okay, yeah, we start looking into people, thinking about people to select for that.
It can be hard to find the
they
right
get cold
person.
feet.
Of course.
I'll be honest with you. I've got cold feet. I've suggested it. And when it come down to it, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not into that so much.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it's more of a...
Kinda worn off.
It's an exciting idea rather than an exciting thing to do.
It's like
'Cause it makes
getting
everything
caught
awkward.
in a public park.
Right.
It,
It wears off eventually.
I don't know about that.
I'm thinking Karen has a lot of interesting stories.
I'm thinking so. Yeah.
But it really definitely depends on the people involved, and if you get a person who just doesn't click, then it can make it seem less exciting for the future, because then you're like, oh, well, what if I get somebody like that person? And
because then it becomes like a chore instead of something fun and spontaneous.
or if somebody gets dramatic afterwards, and because it happens. People get jealous, people get awkward, and the more people involved in any situation, the more likely that something will get weird. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why sometimes people can shy away from these situations, because you don't want things to get weird once you've been intimate with someone.
Well, no, that's right.
The getting weird part definitely makes things awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it ruins friendships sometimes.
It's ruined friendships, relationships, marriages.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Everything.
Yeah.
The most fun threesomes, though, are the ones you don't even know you're about to partake in.
Oh, yeah? Tell me more.
My very first threesome, actually, I was invited to a party, and all my buddies were there, all their girlfriends, the whole 9 yards. We were all out in this big field, big bonfire, and I probably was the drunkest one there. I actually was the last one to leave, or so to speak.
Okay.
I was a little bit more sober than what people thought I was. I stayed back to help clean up, and and I sat down for a couple of minutes just before waiting for my cab, and I thought my buddy who owned the house called me the cab, and he did not. Actually, his girlfriend decided to start getting naked beside me on the couch, and I'm like, what is she doing? He says to me, oh, she's horny. She wants to have sex. And I'm like, you gotta wait till I leave, right? She goes, no, she wants to have sex with you. I'm like, and you're cool with that? He's like, yep. I'm like, all right.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it progressed from there.
Ah.
So those ones are, you don't even know what you're about to partake in.
Yeah,
Those
I
can be
went to
interesting.
a friend's birthday party once, and birthday party, everybody bring food, whatever. We thought we were going to a birthday party. Well, we get there, and this friend had gone shopping for
The party favors?
yes, and the party favors were these lace panties in different color for each woman, and she's like passing them out. Here, put these on, put these on, put these on, and we're like, all right. And so then...
Can you do me a favor, the next party you get invited to with that? Can you invite me?
This person is no longer in Timmins, unfortunately. But so then we have the guys who were there were fully clothed, but the women were all in these lace panties, and I ended up wearing my belt as a shirt, and things just went from there. It just turned into a thing.
I think we just confirmed the interesting stories from Karen.
Yep. I think you're right.
Yep.
We definitely need to hang out more.
And
I agree.
The situations like that are great when you find out that people are trustworthy, though, because in the middle of all this, we're all dancing with my belt as a shirt. My boss walks into the party, looks and says, huh. Well, you were here first, so I'll just go and we won't talk about this at work. And I'm like, thank you.
Awkward.
That's awesome. I love
But it was the greatest response, because he just went, oh, you're here. You were here first, I guess I'd better go. And it was never mentioned again.
That's good.
Yeah, it was just, all right.
At least they were respectable about
This
it.
discretion is a
Exactly.
very nice
But the
quality
thing
to have.
is when you both end up in the same place, and it's a place that kind of thing is happening, hopefully people can be, adult about it.
Grown up about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, yeah.
I can't say I've ever been in that situation. You
No.
got me there, Karen.
Yeah, I have not been in nearly that many kind of different
I don't know.
interesting
These
situations.
kinds of things just happen.
Things like that just do seem to happen to you somehow.
I know. I don't know why.
I think we need to have a follow-up episode later on down the line.
Of course.
I'm intrigued.
That could be a topic all on its own.
Yes.
Yes, it could. Yes. Okay. Is there anything else we should discuss?
I don't know.
I don't even know anymore.
I know right now neither of us can keep a straight face.
This is true. This is true. I'm glad that you were free tonight to come on to the episode.
Yeah. I didn't know because, my work schedule has been kind of
all over the place.
All over the place and unpredictable, so it was nice it worked out.
It was very nice. Yes.
I'm so thankful that it wasn't just you and me.
That would have been
insanely awkward as a podcast episode.
I think you might be right.
Because I have been nowhere near entertaining as she has been.
It still might be a bit of an awkward podcast episode, depending on who listens and what.
I'm curious to hear what Richard has to say.
Richard, send us your feedback, bud. I am so interested in what you're going to say.
I do not know this, Richard.
He's been a long-time listener. He started listening to me on Rusted Robot Podcast.
All right.
And then I started Solfege, and he switched over to that one as well. And ever since Solfege has come along, every so often he'll make a nice comment on the episode link and give his feedback on it. And he's open and honest and gives great feedback. And he's just awesome. Mm-hmm. So
I've read some of the comments, and as I've been going through the podcast and listening, and my power listening, as I've been telling you about, and I'm definitely interested in meeting this.
So one thing I'll say though is that when I talk about this stuff publicly, sometimes men get super creepy. So if men get creepy about this, I'm going to send them to you too.
Okay.
Now, how would you like us to handle this? Or
I'll leave that up to you.
Right on. So super creepy.
Yeah.
Because
they figure that if I'm open to the kind of situation I described, then I must be open to having sex with anyone, and that I should be open to having sex with anyone, and that's just not the case.
Well, of course not. You're discerning. You have standards and whatnot.
And creepy means they can go somewhere else.
Right.
I don't need that in my life.
No, you don't.
So. But that happens when I speak openly about things. All of a sudden, there's some creepy dude who comes out of the woodwork and is like, so. It's like...
And he's got that drooling, lecherous look in his eye.
Right, and they're creepy when they just don't go away, or they stare, follow. Yeah. And it happens, so.
I bet. Okay, so what we should take away from this podcast is don't be creepy.
Yeah.
Sex in a park is awesome. Make sure it's consensual.
Yeah,
of course.
Be safe.
Be respectful and discreet.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else?
Safe.
Safe. Yeah. Lock the door. Make sure you lock the door so you're safe. Yeah.
I'd like to see a public park though with a door that you unlock. That would be an interesting situation.
You bring your own on a frame, stick it in the middle of that, lock it, step behind it, and have sex right there.
How did I know you were going there? Well, you could say you've had sex at a park behind closed doors.
That's right. Exactly.
I haven't done that, but I have thought about that because it would be hilarious. But I mean, you definitely get caught because if there's a big door in the middle of a park, people are going to go over and be like,
open that door.
They're going to open it. They're going to look behind it and be like, "The heck's with this door?" Oh,
you got to make sure there's a peephole.
That kind of door.
Yeah, that's right. Oh boy. Okay, so I think that's where we'll end the show. Thanks for being on the episode, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's awesome. So, listeners, hope you had some fun. Hope you enjoyed that brief talk about sex. Maybe we'll have a more in-depth topic on a particular subject regarding it one day. Check out the YouTube channel and Facebook page and all that good stuff. And remember, if you're not willing to look stupid, nothing great is ever going to happen to you. This has been another episode of the Solfege Podcast. Contact the show by emailing solfegepodcast@gmail.com or by tweeting solfegepod on Twitter. Visit us at solfegepodcast.com, and remember, the best way to show your support is by leaving a 5-star review in the iTunes Store. And, if you would, please check us out and like us on Facebook. The Solfege Podcast was written, produced, scored, edited, engineered, and directed by Shawn Vanderloo. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Darth Vaderloo. For more great content, you can listen to my other podcast, The Rusted Robot. Thanks for stopping by the Forge. We'll keep the fires lit until your next visit.
I could do this all day.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.